Yeah, further to our conversation, um, just wondering if you could introduce yourself and how you could help my clients, first home buyer, first time investor and, experienced investors, please. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So I'll take you through a few pack, but let me introduce myself. My name is Moxin. People call me Moss. The company name is Investor Partner Group. Moss is just sweet and easy. I'm big on creating sustainable property portfolios without impacting lifestyle. So what that basically means is that when you are investing and using property as a vehicle to invest and create wealth, you should not be sacrificing your lifestyle. So you should not be, thinking about, oh, can I go on this holiday, or could I buy this expensive car? You should always be able to do all of that while creating a portfolio and the wealth for yourself. Okay. Now,
That's it. Yeah. And you can do it passively, right? Like you don't have to get involved.
100%. And explaining this, so why are we qualified to do all of this? So we call ourselves property investor firm or property investment firm. So, we do detailed property advisories, we do buyer's agency, we do feasibilities. We're also property developers. We do a lot of property development in Melbourne and Adelaide. We are qualified tax and SMSF advisors, so we can advise you on tax and SMSF and business structures. My background is from data, so I collect a lot of data across 13,000 suburbs across all over Australia. Now, I do travel to those places where we are investing. So a lot of people don't get the niche and understand. So I'm in Adelaide or in Perth or in Queensland. I am from Melbourne, so Melbourne is my base ground, or in Sydney or New South Wales or regional Victoria. So I tend to go to these places and scout these properties myself as well while looking at data. So we'll go through this slide pack and understand what sort of data am I talking about and how do we identify these pockets to grow, because I'm big on short-term growth where you can build your portfolio quickly and fast, and then also the long-term growth that is going to come through the property investing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so going to the third slide. So this is the method that I've developed myself. And this method has basically evolved on the mistakes that I've done. So I invested in property when I was 21 years old. Okay, I bought my first property and I've seen everything that people talk about, whether it be house and land packages or apartments or off the plan properties. Done all that mistakes and, naturally have come to a conclusion that there has to be a strategic way of building the portfolios. Okay. So these three sort of pillars are basically foundation, expedition, and worthy. And the way to look at them is basically, looking at it from foundation is for the first time investors, expedition is more for the experienced investors, and worthy properties are for the clients who are, at the niche of, climbing and being the high net worth clients. Okay.
Okay.
And I divide them quite sort of holistically in nature is because it's a building works. You have to have the foundations right before you think about, slightly higher risk investments, and before you go into a much more medium risk sort of investment. Okay. And there are
can I ask, what about the first home buyer?
Yeah. So first home buyers, our investment market is very focused on investors. Okay.
Right.
The way we go about doing this is, we take the emotions out of the equation completely, and we're talking about numbers, and we're talking about growth, we're talking about yield, and we're talking about returns. Yeah. Now, the first home buyers that we really help with are the first home buyers who are thinking from an investment perspective and the lifestyle choice perspective. Yeah. So there are there are 4 reasons why a person would buy the property. Okay. There is no more than 4 reasons. The first reason is a lifestyle choice. Okay. I want to live in the suburb. I want to live in this property. Okay. The second reason is to catch growth. Okay. I want to get a growth out of this property. The third reason is I want to get a rental yield out of this property. I want a rental income coming out of this property. The fourth reason is I want to manufacture equity. Now, that manufacturing equity could be renovation, could be subdivisions, could be multi-units, could be townhouses, could be anything.
Okay.
What we do is use those 4 reasons and we combine them in such a way that you can build a sustainable property portfolio over a period of 7 to 10 years. So it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not so much about you're going to buy this property and you're going to get 50% growth year on year. That's not how it works. It's
Yeah.
a methodological way of building your portfolio slowly and gradually, where it's sustainable. There is enough buffers to protect you from interest rate rises, changes to market conditions, macro environments, and you can hold it long, such that it becomes inheritable. It can be transferred into generational wealth. So you could do a lot more when you have a sustainable property portfolios. And knowing as a broker yourself, you would know that banks love self-sustainable property portfolios. Bank loves trusts where the trusts are basically self-sustainable. They're generating significant income. There's very less debt in those, and and the banks are like looking at those portfolios and saying, oh yeah, you can have more money to invest. Perfect. There's so much equity, so much cash in those portfolios.
So you can also help first home buyer if they want a home to live as well, right?
That's correct. That's
yeah.
correct.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, going to the next slide. So this is basically an extension of the few method that we were talking about. So when you're in the foundation stage, what you're aiming for is you're aiming for suburbs with high growth. So you're trying to capture short-term growth, but you're going for high yield. So you're going for rental yields of strong rental yields so that you can hold this property portfolio and build on it faster and quicker. Okay. When you're talking about experienced investor or expedition properties, what you're basically talking about is you are slowly moving into an active development space. Okay, so you are trying to acquire properties which has multiple exit strategies, renovation potential, subdivisions, 1 into 3 lots, etc. And then when you're talking about the worthy properties, you're talking about commercial properties, you're talking about NDIS, you're talking about roaming houses, you're talking about Airbnb, you're talking about all of that sort of stuff, in that sort of space. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a very quick example as to what the power of short-term growth is, because people tend to always forget about some of these things. Yeah. Now, in year one, if you're buying a property in the right suburb, in the right pocket, with the right yield, you could potentially use that equity to refinance it out and basically build your portfolio and buy a second property in year two. Okay. Now, the property in year two, if you follow the same fundamentals, should give you the same growth, and you should be able to use that equity to buy the year three property from the year two property. But what tends to also happen is the property in year one that you would have bought would have offered you another 10 to 15% growth for you to pull that equity out again and buy a second property in year three. So all in all, you would have 4 properties in literally 3 years sort of time frame. Yeah. Now, you can keep doing this by mixing different yields and growth criteria in the property portfolio. Okay. Of course, everyone has a different sort of time frame. Yes, some people would stop at year 5. Some people would stop at year 4. Some people would say, I don't want to go this aggressive. I want to go a bit more slowly. But the reason for building the portfolio is by using the equity from the previous property and buying the next property, so that, say, for example, in year 5, where you have 3 properties that you're acquiring in year 5, and you have another 7 properties that you've already acquired, for example, and you're sitting at, say, 9 or 10 properties in total, you don't have to hold all those 8 or 9 properties. What you can do is you can sell off 2 properties in year 1 and 2, use the equity and pay down the debt on year 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, because you would have caught some significant equity in here. And ultimately, your overall portfolio, what that does is it reduces the loss to value, the loan to value ratio, and which basically means that the portfolio be in a position where it can basically pay itself off through the rental yields. And post year 5 or year 6, there is passive income coming through these properties, and you can basically sleep peacefully and and base and be more of the passive income that the portfolio is going to generate. So that's the most sort of simplistic exercise that you are doing while you're building the portfolio. Of course, we have softwares that does this for you. We have a dedicated software that would basically identify how many properties to buy, what sort of serviceability that you're looking for, and we work very closely with the broker, because it's very, very important for the broker to be part of this conversation and build a portfolio and the profile for the client at the same time.
Yeah. And can I please ask you, so are you saying from year 6, they, like at the end of year 5, they can kind of retire?
Yeah. So year 5 and year 6 is where the passive income starts coming through in a quite holistic fashion. Now, as I said, you can go aggressive and you can go slowly depending on where your portfolio sits, yeah, or how much is your risk appetite, okay, or how much is your, how fast do you want to move, yeah.
Yeah.
On an average, year 6 or year 7 is where you would be safely saying, oh yeah, I have enough passive income coming through that I can safely retire, you know, or I could slowly retire, yeah. A lot of my clients, what they do is they go part-time first and then slowly retire, you know, because they still want to catch 1 or 2 properties more.
Is it possible on like a standard income, or you need a high income?
No. So what is happening is with every property that you are adding, you would be adding, some of these properties would be sitting at 6-7% yield. Okay. So you would get some instant rental return coming out of these properties that the bank would look at it favorably. Okay. The other thing is, you know, we have built property portfolios for clients, you know, on $120,000, you know, nothing massive, you know, like a family of $120,000. But what tends to happen is with a smaller income, it just takes a bit longer because of the serviceability being locked off. On a bigger income, if you go aggressive, you can build it faster. That's the only difference, you know.
Okay, so this is possible for a couple with around 120,000 income per year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite easy. Quite easy.
Quite easy. Okay. Where the property gonna be based in?
Yeah, so we buy properties pretty much all across Australia. Our focus right now has been Adelaide, Melbourne, Queensland. I've just come back from Perth literally in the last 3 days.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, it's an
amazing.
exciting experience, isn't it?
It is amazing. So I went from the north all the way to the south, so about 2,000 kilometers in literally 2 days. So I've looked at pretty much all the suburbs, and we've identified about 20 suburbs that are peaking for investment, that are ripe for investment. We have picked 4 properties in the last 24 hours in Perth, and all of those properties are sitting at a yield of 6%. So 6% yield is being generated out of those properties right now. Some of them are as close to the CBD as 14 kilometers, 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers. Some of them are closer to the beach. So that's a beach lifestyle property. All of them are under $550,000, $600,000 mark. And generating 6%, 5 to 6% yield. So it's quite extraordinary. Now, 2018-19, a similar exercise happened. Okay, 2018-19, when we first entered into Adelaide, I made a similar comment and I said, people who are ready to invest, they should be coming into Adelaide right now because this market is ready to go. Okay. And those who trusted me, especially my clients, you know, they trusted me and went together, and we have seen some significant growth coming through the area. People who didn't trust us, you know, I was speaking to a few of them last week and they said, oh, we want to be the first ones that are going into Perth right now. Now, what is happening in Perth, especially in Western Australia, is Western Australia, the prices peaked in 2014. Okay. And then from 2014 all the way to 2020, the market almost went into a slump and it's only starting to come back. Now, the market is being driven by the homeowners right now. There's not a lot of investor activity in Perth right now. Majority of the activity is home buyers. And the reason that they are so active is that they are saying, well, if I'm going to pay 550, 600, 650 rent per week for this property, why should I not just buy the property in the same local area? It just doesn't make sense for me to pay the rent. Okay. So for every open home that we went to, and some of them were off market as well, there were 10 flocks and flocks of buyers coming and visiting those properties. And I've shown videos out there as well for some of these open homes that I've done. Yeah. So all home buyer activity. And then what was going to happen in the next 6 months is you would see this appreciation coming through. And ultimately the investor would drive there, would be attracted to that, and they would drive the prices further. Okay. Because $350,000, $400,000 property generating a yield of 6% is unheard of. Yeah, 5.5%, 6% is unheard of. And so investors, for them, investors from Melbourne or Sydney, it would be cheap as chips. Yeah, they can buy 3 properties all at once, pretty much quickly, very quickly.
Yes.
And that would push the homeowner out of the market and would create more demand in the area.
And if my client go with you, they can, like, the benefits are they can get property at under market value.
Yeah. So what we do in every suburb that we are in, you know, invested in, is that we find the right suburbs to invest in those areas. Okay. So not every suburb, as I said, you know, Perth would have close to about 60 to 70 suburbs that people are investing in right now. Okay. We have identified only 18 suburbs that we think are worth investing at this stage. So not all the 60, 70 suburbs that people are investing in, only 18 suburbs. So it's very important to know the right suburbs to invest in.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's number one. Number two is we have great strategic partnerships with, property managers, real estate agents, direct to vendors, off market opportunities. So we get access to all of those. So we get the first share of entering into these areas where the demand is so high. Okay. The third thing is that as a normal buyer, when you go out and try to buy in these pockets, you always pay a premium for the property because there is so much competition. Okay. We buy in these areas, killing the competition and buying it off market, without anyone knowing about some of these properties. Okay. So that provides you a lot of benefit in relation to using a buyer's agent and picking the right suburb at the right time, at the right price. It's quite important. It's quite the key. And then having that whole network of, people helping you and assisting you in building your portfolio. So we don't charge you anything else, for building the portfolio. All of that is together. Okay. So it's a long-term relationship. It's not a single transaction. We will keep coming back to you 6 months, reviewing your portfolio, making sure that the growth is happening in the right direction and pushing you and building your portfolio slowly and gradually. Yeah. It's not so much about sitting on the fence line that you have bought one property and see you later. That's not how we work. We continuously work with the clients to build their portfolio and the wealth to hit that passive income target and the retirement targets that they're trying to hit.
Yeah. Is it possible for them to start at like age of 40 or something? Or do they have to be young?
No, definitely. I have a client who started off at the age of 53. And if you're hearing me, I apologize, Tony, that, I'm talking about you. And and he has done significantly well. Look, I mean,
is he a doctor or something?
Say again?
Is he a doctor?
No, he's not a doctor. No, he's not a doctor. He has made some, look, I mean, his life has gone through a bit of a turmoil in the past. And he has made some bad decisions, in purchasing the wrong properties, and they haven't done the right sort of growth that was expected. The property that we acquired for him in Adelaide, we acquired at $340,000. It's already refinanced, like literally refinancing right now at $400,000 in less than 3 months. Yeah. So we bought that property in, I think, November, and we are already in April. So that property settled in January, and we're already 4. So I got a call from him last week, and he said, Moss, I'm ready to go for the second one. And, we have $60,000 sitting in the equity. I'm going to put in a bit more because I've saved some money, and we're going to go for the next property. So again, there is no short of age. The only difference is this, yeah. When you are young, you would get the luxury of your income going up as you are getting old. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're old, and I shouldn't say old, when you are, say 45 plus or 50 plus, your income levels don't improve. Yeah. They are where they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be a bit more risk averse when you're older, but you have to strategize and be fast and quick in building the portfolio if you haven't done anything. Whereas if you are young, you get a lot of years to basically build your portfolio. If you're starting off, I have a few clients who are starting off as 22, 23, 24. You get almost like 10 years worth of, them, creating the lifestyle that they want to for themselves, and they can keep adding value by increasing their income together while they're building their portfolio.
Yeah. So you buy a property and the market value. So you make money when you buy, and they at the growth suburb, and the properties also have a development potential. Is that right?
Yeah. So we always go for established properties. And one of the reasons we go for established properties is that, these properties are, say, like 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom, or 4-bedroom, 1 bathroom. Yeah. You can add an extra bathroom, or you can change the configuration of the house, or you can build a granny at the back, or you can subdivide it. So there has to be some sort of value add in those properties, in the established properties. And that helps you build your manufactured equity component. So 3 things that has to come together at the same time. And I've jumped onto the next slide. 3 things that has to come together at the same time is that it has to be in the growth suburb. So, you cannot buy in an area which is not in the growth radar for us. Okay.
Yeah.
It has to be a positive cash flow property. So it should not cost you your lifestyle. So you should not be paper rich. You should be cash rich. Okay. So you should not be thinking about, oh, I have to put in more money into the property. I can buy an expensive car. I can go on a holiday. I can, afford 4 coffees a day if I need to. I don't have to cut on my expenses to build my portfolio. And the third,
Can I jump in? That's unheard of. I only had growth or cash flow, not both.
yes.
And very good at the same time. Some people say growth and cash flow, but just a little bit,
Yes.
Not high, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And you can aim for both as well, by the way. Yeah. In the market that you are in right now, you can aim for high growth, high cash flow, and value add coming together at the same time. What's happening is that the more you are buying, the more of these properties are disappearing. Yeah. Now, when you're building your portfolio at the start, you're focused on growth and cash flow. You're not focused 100% on manufacturing equity because your foundation needs to be right. So your first sort of property number 1, and say even property number 2, you would be going for growth and yield because you want to use that to keep buying your properties. Yeah. Property number 3, 4, you would focus more on the value add. So you might, as you said rightly, you might sacrifice a bit on the yield side to go for a bigger land, but you still want growth and you still want the manufactured equity component in there where you're buying lower than the market price, and you can, convert a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom to a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, add $100,000 to your property, tomorrow. So, and those are the type of deals that we look for.
Yeah, and you could have an exit strategy, like you can sell it after you manufacture the growth, right?
100%.
So can't hold it. Yeah.
I'll give you this example for a client that we bought for. This is in Adelaide, by the way, 14 kilometers from CBD, 1,000 square land, full-scale development potential. You can build 3 townhouses there or 3 single-story houses there if you want to. Earning a rental of $495 per week, strong cash flow, coming back into their pocket. They're making like $6,700 back into their pocket. And they saw 15% growth in the first 3 months. That's amazing. Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
In the first 3 months.
In the first 3 months, and that was amazing because what naturally happened is, Joe came to me and said, Moss, let's buy the second one, and we are buying the third property right now, or actually, I think it's already about to settle. It was settling on Friday. It didn't happen. It's settling today. So, that's how fast we move because you're using that equity and going in again quite quickly and quite fast,
You have to get me and my client the same, please.
100%. Look, majority of the times, this is what happens. And I was talking to this client before you saw, and he was saying to me, so how do you decide whether you're buying it for yourself or for the clients? And I say, look, all my properties are always for the clients first. And if they say no, then I'll just buy it myself because I love property. Yeah, I'll just put it in my profile because
you're so nice. You take the leftover. With me, you're not getting any leftover. Yeah.
So this is a really good example.
You want to help.
Yes, definitely, and that's the aim. Yeah, look, I mean, from my perspective, if I want to, I can stop doing all of this and retire peacefully. Yeah, this is my passion. I keep going because I love what I'm doing really. Yeah. So let's go through the property selection and the suburb selection. Yeah. So that people get a bit of an understanding as to how intense and detailed this is. Yeah. So majority of the times when clients are looking at it themselves or other buyers agents are looking at it, they are only looking at, median house price, vacancy rates, yields. That's it. Yeah. Really, really high level. Yeah. What we are doing is we are trying to understand the demand of the suburb and a supply of the suburb. And we are then trying to understand what property to buy in those suburbs. And when I talk about the demand and the supply side, the easiest way to understand this is that, assume a pressure cooker. Yeah. Assume a pressure cooker. Okay. And you have put in some vegetables in there for it to boil. Yeah. And when they are ready to be cooked, you would hear a small whistle. Yeah. Right. You hear a very, very tiny small whistle. And as soon as you hear the whistle, you know that the food is cooked. Yeah. If the whistle is crazy, then you know this is overcooked. Correct? Yeah. Property market is exactly the same. If you're looking at the right indicators, you want to enter into those suburbs at the time when the whistling is almost non-existent, or it's just slightly whistling. Okay. If it's whistling to the top, that means you're late to the party. You're buying in at the peak. Yeah. So you don't want to do that. And the way to understand it is we have our own demand side of the equation and the supply side of the equation. So we go into the detail of things like, online search interest, auction clearance rates, vendor discounting. On the supply side, we are looking at stock on market, days on market, building approvals, developable land available. All of this data basically informs us on what suburbs to buy in. Yeah. No one gets this technical, than
Right.
because we look at it from a much more data standpoint. Once we've identified those suburbs, I personally go there, look at those suburbs and make sense. Okay, yes, this is what's happening locally in the area. Yes, 100% it makes sense. And then when it comes to the property selection side of things, you're looking at what sort of neighborhood character it is, who is gentrified in the area, what sort of cultures are living in that area, what's the position of the house, size of the land, shape of the land, what are the setbacks, offsets, slopes, easements, everything. Yeah. So you're looking at that level of detail when you're talking about the properties, so it's a lot of work that goes from narrowing down the suburb to finding the property
Of
for
course.
even one single client.
Yeah. And we talking to the data expert, so he know what he's talking about.
Yes,
And he actually also go out there and look like physically right on the street, right?
that's correct.
But
That,
sometimes when you see things outside, it's a little different. So
that's 100% right. And I keep saying this. Yeah, property investing is art and science together. So science is more on the data side of things, so data science, but art is going there and meeting people and understanding what's happening. Yeah. We look at things like mortgage affordability, rental affordability of those areas, what sort of diversity, what sort of income levels those suburbs are, because that what sort of jobs are being created, what sort of infrastructure is going in those suburbs. So we look at so many things: schools, public transport, shopping center. Look at all those qualitative things together with the demand and supply equation to basically get a better sense on some of these areas.
Yeah. And you are only one of the brain, right? You got 4 partners.
That's correct. Yes. So our business is split into 3 parts. So we have property advisory, buyers agency, then we have property development, and then we have tax, SMSF, and business structure side of things. So we have 3 directors or 3 business owners, 3 partners, me, Jonathan, and Sohail. And we all look after different sides of the equation, but we always combine everything together. So it's a one-stop shop when it comes to property investing, because we are looking at it from a tax lens. We are looking at it from a development lens. We are looking at it from a buy and hold lens. So we always have that sort of uniqueness to our business.
Yes. So my clients have all the, expert team that they need.
Definitely.
And
one
everything.
question that a lot of clients would ask me is, Moss, if I'm buying in Perth, or if I'm buying in South Australia in Adelaide, or if I'm buying in Queensland, who is going to look after my property and who is going to manage the repairs and maintenance? And it becomes so far, who is going to do all of that? So we have a massive network of, tradies, builders who work with us and for us. We also have a massive network of property managers, building and pest inspectors, conveyancers. So we control the end-to-end equation for you. So we pretty much do everything for you. And that takes the stress out of you. Yeah. So you don't have to think about, oh, I have this repairs and maintenance, I need to find a tradie. No, you don't. You just need to call your property manager and they'll ask one of our tradies to come out there and do it for you. So we, it's perfect, in that sense that, you don't have to buy something within 5-kilometer radius of where you live so that you can go there and mow the gardens yourself. You just have to, speak to one person and they'll, do basically everything for you.
Yeah, because a lot of people who are investing, they also got full-time job.
Definitely.
So with you, they can comfortably do their job full-time and invest in property passively. Don't worry anything about property, and then you look out, because you guys are not only expert in your field, you also have a big network of connection people around you. Yeah.
Definitely. And look, I mean, we work with architects, we work with consultants, so we have pretty much everyone on retainer. And, and that's why when you're looking at property zonings and classifications and covenants and easements and, flood zones and power lines, and all of this is very, very important in finding the right property. Majority of these things people don't even know about. When I talk to people, do you know what a contour is, what sort of frontage is allowed, or what the road position is, or how important is the shape of the land itself is, people just goes away from their head, but we are looking at that level of detail when you're making those investment decisions.
And you only charge 12,000 plus GST per property. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So what we do is we charge a retainer upfront. Okay. So you would charge a retainer upfront, which is $3,000 plus GST. Okay. And then the balance of the payment basically comes in at the very end. What that does is, and we always say this, yeah, the retainer is fully refundable if I can't find you the property within the first 90 days of us, you engaging us and you getting the pre-approval to us. Because
only
I don't want to
90
keep
days. Only
yes,
90 days.
only 90 days. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So we always say 90 days because if I can't find you anything in the first 90 days, then I can never find anything for you. Okay. So
Really?
yeah, it's a relationship. Yeah. So we work very fast and very quick on a lot of these deals.
That's good.
The
Yeah.
other thing also is that, we charge per property basis. So there is no membership, there is no ongoing fees or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, the service is there, the number is there, the access to myself and, my directors and the property strategists are always there. So you can pick up a phone and talk to Soel about, tax issues, or you can pick up a phone, talk to Jonathan if you have any development questions, and anything. Now, this
You
slide
don't charge extra for tax advice?
Look, I mean, basic tax advice is fine unless and until you're looking for something really, really specific. Or for example, you're coming in and saying, look, I want to set up my, SMSF or self-managed super fund, then yes, we would charge you. But if you're looking for basic tax advice as to, okay, I'm doing this, does this make sense? Yes, 100%. What we tell our clients is to be part of our ecosystem. Okay. So, use you as a broker, use us as an accountant, use us as a buyer's agent, use us as a property advisor. And that brings everything in one place. So it's easier, if say, for example, the broker needs anything from an accounting perspective, you just need to speak to Saul and he'll give you everything. Yeah. Rather than speaking to a different accountant or a different tax agent, and it becomes really, really hard. So if the whole profile is at one place, then it just becomes so much easier for everyone to work.
Yeah, that's good. And you suggest to client which city to buy, or they can choose?
Yes. So we always suggest, because, at different price point and based on the strategy session that we're going to do for the client, every client would have a different preference. Yeah. Some clients we would suggest going into Adelaide, for example. Some clients we would suggest going into Perth, depending on the yield that we are trying to grab. And sometimes we would suggest in, buying regional as well. Now, there's a lot of people who are quite scared of investing into regional, Australia, because they're like, no, metro. They always think,
no infrastructure.
Correct. Yes. They always think metro versus regional. I always say metro and regional. You should be, as an investor, you should be looking at both, and you should be identifying what's the best pocket to buy in, regardless of. So look at the numbers and make the numbers work. Yeah. Region has given some decent growth, in the last sort of 4 years. Yeah. You can see some of the regional areas like Byron Bay, some of the regions that, they've got immense growth, almost like 200% growth. And you can't discount these areas anymore, especially post-COVID, where people are not living as close to CBD as they would like to. They've just been dispersed and, they've made lifestyle choices and living in outer areas. So
yeah, most of us can work online, these days. Yeah.
Definitely. Now, this is more on the small scale side. This is more on the small scale development side of things. This is some of the completed projects, that we have done. All of this information is available on our website and also on our Facebook page, on our Facebook group. I always, ask clients to join in to our Facebook group. It's called Property Investment Australia. Search it on Facebook. Please do join Property Investment Australia. It is a free group of communities. We are trying to build a community there. There are more than 3,000 people. A lot of them are already our clients. So we have forced our clients to come in and talk to other people, so that, we are building a community for people, learning from our other experiences, our mistakes, our learnings, and sharing it at a single platform. So it's a big sort of platform. Now, there's a lot of Google reviews that you can jump in and see what we've achieved for the clients. And
I see in the group you always post the property that you buy. Yes. So like every week there's 1 or 2 property. So you don't have to believe us. You can check the property that Mohsin just bought. Looking at it, then you know how good he is. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So there is always a property of the week and a property of the month. And every client that I buy property for, he asks me this question after we have bought the property: is this the property of the week? And I always say, look, I have to decide this at the end of the week. I can't promise you, but maybe, you never know. So yeah, so there is a property of the week and so we do buy a lot of properties, but we always showcase at least one property a week, which is the best property that we've acquired in that week. Yeah, it's amazing because the clients are there, they can see their property being advertised, and you can ask questions. If you don't believe us, the client will jump in and they'll answer the questions that they've gone through the process.
Yeah, that's like a real testimonial live every week.
Yes. That's just the questions. Yeah.
You give a lot of value. I don't know why you're giving it away. Why don't you take it all yourself? But then I also know that you like helping people. It's not all about money, right?
Yes.
Like, because I also deal with clients. Dealing with people also enjoyable. You get to look at the data, and you get to go out there, look at all the 60 suburbs in a week.
100%.
It's all joy, right? Not only money, right? If it's only for money, you take all the project. Why would you give it away, huh?
Definitely. Look, I mean, ultimately, I always invest in areas where I ask my clients to invest in. Okay, for example, Perth. Yeah, I've never invested in Perth before. I've opened the doors. I'm investing there myself. And I'll be showcasing that on the group as well, that these are the properties that we are acquiring for ourselves, and this is what we are acquiring for the clients. And sometimes the clients say, hey, the property that you're acquiring for yourself, how about you give it to me? And I'll be like, okay, that's fine. I'll find something else that's okay. Because I started investing when I was 21. I've done a lot of projects. I've done over 40 projects. My strategy when it comes to property investing is more on the active property investing side. So I'm not more on the passive investing side. I do active property developments. I do big projects. That's where my focus has been. That doesn't mean that we build townhouses and sell it to our clients. That's a no-no. For all of our clients, we always go for established properties. Any property developments that we do, whether it be townhouses or, single story houses or subdivisions, that just goes out through the retail channel for people to buy, whoever they're buying. Our clients, are very strategic in nature, and we do detailed strategy sessions for the clients to understand what there is and what needs to be achieved in a very, as I said, very strategic and a methodological way. And of course, I love what I do. Yeah, I tend to visit so many different places. I truly enjoy when I hear about client success. And it's funny that every time I buy a property for a client, I always get as excited. And the client is like, "Why are you so excited?" And I was like, "I always get excited. It does not really matter whether it's for a client or someone else."
You put yourself in their shoe, right?
100%.
And we can see from the houses that you showcase, how you treat them. Because I also do people the same. Like when I do their loan, I treat them like my loan. So if you don't put yourself in their shoe, doesn't matter how much money you get, you won't do your best.
Definitely, 100%. And I'll give you this example of one of the clients. We were about to sign the property. Like literally, we had the contract in hand, and the client was signing. And I called the client and I said, "Look, give me 2 more hours. I'm checking something out, and I need to make sure that this is the right property." Literally, and half an hour later, so we have done everything. We have done the building and pest. Everything is okay. Half an hour later, I texted him saying, "Please don't sign. We are pulling out of the contract. We're not going to sign this property." And he calls me, and he said to him, "Moss, what happened?" And I said, "No, my DD on certain things I'm not still sure of." Okay, so I always ask this question before I ask the client to sign: would I buy this property? And if the answer is no, I would never let my client buy that property. And he was so surprised. He's like, I work with so many buyers agents, and they would never do that. They would be like, well, this is money right to be made here. I'll just get them signed and forget about it. So he was so surprised that I pulled him out of the contract. And of course, it costed us money to do building and pest inspection and getting our people out there and property managers out there and getting the valuations, everything. Yeah. But ultimately, that's what it matters. Yeah. If I am
Yeah.
not going to buy it for myself, why should I let my clients buy it at all? So it's
Yeah. And you feel also good as a result, right? You achieve something.
100%, 100%. Yeah, definitely. That's how you see the results coming through. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you don't get much from it, like only 12K, like a property, but then, and you spend so much time on it. But then there's other thing like satisfaction and,
Definitely.
people love you. I believe that you help you find people help you, right? It's not all about money, right?
Definitely. Look, I mean, my personal goal, and a lot of clients ask me this, yeah, what is your own personal goal? You have achieved, what you have achieved as part of the property journey. And I said, yeah, that's true. I don't need to do this. I could just keep doing developments and, do nothing
Yeah,
about
yeah.
some of these things. My
And
own personal
you'll
goal.
be bored, Mox. I'm sure
Yes.
you'll be bored. You'll come back.
Yes. My own personal goal is that, I want, and I've never talked about this out in the open, only a few people who are very close to me know about this. I'm big on creating schools for people who do not have the luxury of going into private schools. And I'm big on creating those, small schools all around the world. So not just in Australia, by the way.
Oh, please count my country too. I'm part of it. I'm also big on charity. You
Yes.
probably know.
So, that is something that is really, really close to my heart. So I don't come from a rich family. I was lucky enough to be, provided through the opportunities of earning scholarships and getting there. I see a lot of people with a lot of potential who do not get those opportunities to get where they want to be. So, so we do a lot of work in the background around, school projects in various parts of the world. I have a small tiny project in Melbourne as well as a school project that is happening in the background that I'm quite keen to, get it out there. It's all about leaving a legacy behind. Yeah, someone who can remember you in
Yeah,
even a
of
few
course.
words. I think that would be the biggest thing that comes out of all you're trying to achieve. So yeah.
Yeah, you should tell your client. I'm sure they'll be happy to get involved.
Yeah.
And I'll do the same too. It's also like, like it's people doing it together. Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Because we don't live forever, right?
Yeah, definitely.
When you die, you have to leave everything you have. So why
That's
not?
100%, 100%. So yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. I'm always happy to take any questions. I'm always available to answer as much as possible. Of course, my time gets a bit shrunk because I use a Calendly link, so it's calendly.com/helpmebuy. Anyone who wants to join, they can basically book in a call with myself any time of the day. And if it's in my calendar, I'll always turn up to the call. I'll show up, show my face, and talk to you. Whether you are my client or not, I always guarantee that I'll show up to the call. So I talk
He
to
does. Yeah,
yeah.
he does. He does. He likes helping. Yeah, he
Yes,
helps
I would talk to probably about
a
100 to
lot of my
150
clients.
people, 100 to 150 people every week, which is humongous, yeah. And not
Yeah.
everyone is my client. And the reason I do that is there are people who naturally don't want to pay, and that's fine. They want to do it themselves. And I truly want these people to succeed as well. So if they're making a mistake, I'll always say to them, look, you don't want to engage us, that's fine. Use that as an opportunity to grow. Of course, I can't disclose you the suburbs because they are for my clients. Of course, I can't tell you what I'm telling to my clients ultimately, because I'm doing a disservice to the people who are paying me,
Yeah.
So, I have to be ethical and responsible to the people who work with me, but I'm happy to help as much as I can in my own sort of capacity. So
Yeah, you help anyway without getting paid. Yeah,
definitely.
you shouldn't do that too much. You only got one life to live.